Hey guys, this is George with Kingdom Worker Ministries, and I just want to take a few minutes of your time to share a quick message with you that I believe will be a blessing to you and will help strengthen your relationship and improve your Christian walk. In the past few video messages, I have talked about the power of choice, so I want to continue that conversation. According to Romans chapter 14, verse 5, which tells us, let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind. We all must walk our own path, one that no one else can walk for us. This is exciting and scary all at the same time. What if I choose the wrong path? What if the path I choose leads me to a place that I really do not want to be? How can I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I am on the right one? Every day, we're faced with choices, a sort of crossroads, if you will, where we have to decide to go right, to go left, to do a U turn, or simply stay on the course by going straight ahead. Most of us solicit advice from friends or loved ones, and we carefully weigh out the options before we decide which path to take. But the bottom line is, regardless of the influences in our life, we choose our own paths in life. This makes us totally responsible for the choices we make and the consequences that go along with those choices, be they good or be they bad. Life is all about our choices and the consequences that follow. Think about Judgment Day when each of us will stand before the judgment seat of God, according to Romans 14:10. How do you think you will be judged? Do you think you will be judged based on the things that you have done and the choices that you have made? Or do you think you will be allowed to pawn those choices off on another? No, we will not be able to pawn our choices off on anyone else, not even God. Every person will have to give an account of himself to God, according to Romans 14:12. Wouldn't it be great if we had a roadmap that would help us to choose the right path for the best results? But you do. God has provided us with a roadmap for that very purpose. The roadmap is given to us to tell us what to believe for doctrine, what is wrong for reproof, how to correct wrong for correction, how to live for instructions in righteousness, and we are to rely on it because it contains everything we need to grow in maturity, to be perfect, meaning proficient or capable, and to do what God wants. According to 2 Timothy chapter 3, verses 16 through 17. And if we carefully adhere to this roadmap, we will make our way prosperous and we will have good success, according to Joshua chapter 1, verse 8. But again, it comes down to choice, your choice. You can choose to accept the free gifts of grace or forgiveness and righteousness, which is acquittal, that Jesus provided to us according to Romans chapter 5, verses 15 through 19. And this gift of salvation, according to Romans chapter 10, verse 9 through 10, which leads to life everlasting, according to John chapter 3, verses 16 through 17. Or you can choose an entirely different path. The choice is yours. The beauty of choice is that you get to make it. So, here's a story that is told in Matthew chapter 14, verses 22 through 33, as told in the Living Bible translation. Immediately after this, Jesus told his disciples to get into their boat and cross to the other side of the lake while he stayed to get the other people started home. Then afterwards, he went up into the hills to pray. Night fell, and out on the lake the disciples were in trouble, for the wind had risen and they were fighting heavy seas. About 4 o'clock in the morning, Jesus came to them, walking on the water. They screamed in terror, for they thought it was a ghost. But Jesus immediately spoke to them, reassuring them. "Do not be afraid," he said. Then Peter called to him, "Sir, if it's really you, tell me to come over to you, walking on the water." "All right," the Lord said, "come along." So Peter went over the side of the boat and walked on the water towards Jesus. But when he looked around at the high waves, he was terrified and began to sink. "Save me, Lord," he shouted. Instantly, Jesus reached out his hand and rescued him. "O man of little faith," Jesus said, "why did you doubt me?" And when they had climbed back into the boat, the wind stopped. The others sat there awestruck. "You really are the Son of God," they exclaimed. Most of you are familiar with the story of Jesus walking on the water. But here's a little something that you may not have thought about. Even though Peter asked Jesus to bid him to come to him on the water, and Jesus did bid Peter to come, Jesus did not do anything to force Peter out of the boat. Peter chose to step out of the boat of his own accord. And if you did not notice, it was the same with his faith. When Peter stepped out of the boat, both his faith was strong and completely maxed out. Who among you have faith strong enough to step out of a boat and then expect to walk on the water? Somewhere along the way, Peter chose to allow his faith to wane, and that's when he began to sink. The beauty of choice is what he got to make. God has given you the power or authority to choose. And with the power comes the responsibility for consequences that accompany those choices. We hope today's message will get you out of that comfort zone, help you to step out of your boat, and help you realize that God has so much more planned for you in this life than you could ever imagine. But in order for you to discover these wonderful things, you must first find the roadmap that God has provided for us. It has the ability to change your life. And if you choose to adhere to it, it will make a difference. Remember, your life is a result of choices you make. So, if you do not like your life, then it is time to start making better choices. Find God's roadmap for your life and choose to follow it. If this message has been a blessing to you, please click the like button and share it so that others may be blessed by it as well. Have an awesome day, and we will see you the next time. Continued blessings.